Hello everyone, Mr. H here with you again. Take a good look here at ancient America as the Europeans draw closer. Now we're talking about uh, the Aztecs and how they like to sacrifice living victims. Why did this happen? Well, how many times you heard me say it? The map will tell you everything you need to know. Here's central Mexico at the time, just before the Europeans show up. We also know there's a drought happening. Now, what was that crop that made everything easier in terms of food supply? Corn. Lots of corn means lots of people. And there's lots of people here getting crammed together. Terrain up here is kind of desert. Over here it's jungle. Lots of nice land here. Nice land, nice agriculture, lots of people crammed together. Already a recipe for conflict. And then to make matters worse, we got this drought thing. And now we're upset. The gods are upset. We're upset. Everybody's upset. They've done everything they know how to do. Just can't seem to get this drought shaken. And we start sacrificing people. The Aztecs are capturing people to sacrifice them. Live sacrifices right here. Tenochtitlan and all this. So lots of conflict already happening. Now down in South America, we got a different story here. We got the Inca Empire. Look at this thing. Right along the Pacific. So what's the first thing they're going to eat? What do you think they eat a lot of? Eat a lot of fish, right? Now, what kind of agriculture are we going to find in the Inca Empire? There's not a lot of flat land. Welcome to the Andes. They're right here along the Andes. Well, don't have a lot of flat land for agriculture. They got to create their own flat land. Look at this, terraced fields. And what's the big crop down here? Yeah, they got corn, but there's something else down here too that everyone loves. You love it too. Went to McDonald's today, didn't you? Got a side order of what? French fries. That's right, the potato. We've got the potato here. A little bit of corn, got the potato. People eating fish. Strong, healthy people. Protein heavy diet, lots of carbs, lots of energy. And who's building this? Who's dragging these rocks up the side of the mountain? Well, the beast of burden in South America is a llama, which carries what, about 50 pounds if you're lucky? So the beast of burden for the Inca is going to be other Incas. How do you get them to do this? Hey, it's very simple. Work for me for a month. You don't have to pay taxes. Because if you pay tax, they'll pay for this anyway. So why don't you just do it? Don't have to worry about it. Strong, healthy people. Like I said, protein from the fish, carbs from the potatoes, lots of exercise up in the mountains. Very strong, willing people. They even build a highway system here. Right? So trade goes up and down the empire. No problem. I-95. In fact, it gets to the point people want to join the Inca Empire. It's fun to be an Inca. Potatoes and fish and lots of exercise and meet new friends. Fun to be an Inca. Then the Spaniards are going to wreck it, but we'll get to that later. Back in the USA, take a look over in the Southwest, right out in the desert. We got something out there called the Hohokam culture. Lots of irrigation canals in towns. Why do they have irrigation canals? What are they bringing to them? The water. If you don't live near the water, bring the water to you. Of course, there's always the possibility of moving to the water, but they decided they liked where they were, so let's build a canal to bring it to us. Well, then we got the Pueblo culture after that. Why we call it Pueblo? They like to build Pueblos. Must be getting some kind of rain. Look at this. They built under a shelf. That goes into decline because we got that drought again we're talking about. There's a drought affecting upper half of the New World, North America, Central America, from 12, 13, 1400. We know this because we can look at the tree rings of wood we find from the time. We also have polar bores they pull out from the ice caps. We can actually figure out what the weather was like in previous eras. So we do know there is a drought, and it's affecting everybody and causing problems. As you can see, two cultures going down because of that. Aztec religion takes a wild turn because of that drought. Pueblo's still around today. Why not? You can build it. Doesn't rain that much. You like that picture? It's an awesome picture, isn't it? I took that picture. All right, Eastern Woodlands over here on the East Coast. We got the mound builders in the southeastern U.S. We don't know what they called themselves. We just call them mound builders. The problem was you would see these huge mounds built in the southeastern United States, North Carolina, all the way to, Mississippi, Alabama. Just a hill in the middle of nowhere. There shouldn't be a hill, so they just plowed through it when they were building highways without realizing that the mound builder's actually a tomb. Yeah, they built a tomb. It's a lot like the Mycenaean graves in Greece, a lot like the Yayoi over in Japan. Remember that? So they plow through it, and Lord knows how many artifacts been destroyed. Eventually, we figured out that hey, there's something in these mounds because we live in a much more enlightened age now, right? Nonetheless, the mound builders were active in the southeastern United States. These are basically tombs, lots of artifacts. Now, instead of just plowing through it to build something, they stop and look around first. Poverty Point, Louisiana. They have mounds down there near the New Orleans area that date back to 1200 BC. Why? What is so great about New Orleans? I mean, back then. Now, Mardi Gras and nice food. But back in circa 1200 BC, what's the attraction? Why is New Orleans where it is? Right, it's at the mouth of a river. Again, water, fish, trade, everything up the Mississippi has to come through New Orleans, or Poverty Point back then, kind of an ironic name. Over in the Midwest, we got the Adena culture in the Ohio River Valley, back around circa 400 BC. That's replaced by the Hopewell culture. Don't worry so much about that. These are names we gave them. What they gave themselves, we don't really know. But they're spreading down the Ohio River Valley to the Midwest. Why are they following the Ohio River? Because it's a river, right? Can't get lost. Same thing. You build up near the river, and then when it gets crowded, you walk further down the river. That way when you trade, you just put your stuff on a raft and go to the next community over instead of walking there. We have something called the Mississippian culture, because on the Mississippi River, centered on a site called Coquia, which is near St. Louis. We're not 100% sure because we completely destroyed it building the city of St. Louis. St. Louis, if you take a good look at the map, what's it sitting on? It's sitting on three rivers. We've got the Missouri, the Ohio, and the Mississippi. Great place for trade. Somewhere around that 900, 1200 time, it kind of disappeared. Again, we got that drought. That's affecting all of North America. Yep, see how droughts can cause problems over wide areas? Cultures disappear, go bonkers on religion, start sacrificing people. Droughts are bad news, even in our own history. Remember the Dust Bowl back in the 20s and 30s? One of the contributing factors to the Great Depression. Drought, bad news. Out on the plains, it's a different story. First of all, what's wrong with this picture? Yeah, he's riding a horse. The horse originated in North America. It died out in North America because, Native Americans probably ate them. And they were reintroduced when the Europeans show up, and of course, get stolen, get lost, end up out on the plains. But the point I'm trying to make is, out on the plains, it never goes really beyond hunting and gathering because you have the buffalo. And here we are with the buffalo. You got to get in close to stab it, hit it with a bow and arrow. It's basically like you're living back in the Stone Age again. Now you got on a horse, so it makes it a little bit easier. Later on, they'll find rifles. Of course, you could always run them off a cliff. You find lots of buffalo kills with lots of buffaloes off a cliff. It's kind of inefficient, to be honest with you. And Native Americans are generally very efficient with the buffalo, but you need a whole bunch of them very fast. We run them off a cliff. I'm not sure what this guy's doing with the bat. Gonna pop it right in the face, it looks like. So the plains is a different story out there. Population also more spread out, so agriculture is not a big thing out on the plains. Now, Europeans have been here before, you know that. Long before Columbus, we had the Vikings show up. Saw this one time before. Popped up there in extreme northeast quadrant, North America. Fought with the ancestors of the Algonquins there. Not sure who started the fight, but you do know these are Vikings, so pretty good guess. Now, the Vikings were here almost 500 years before Columbus. Other people may have got here too. In Central America, we have the Olmec heads. Some people say they seem to resemble African traders, which is strange considering, it's not near Africa, but, the heads don't lie. It definitely look African of some kind of origin. Very strange. In 1421, Zheng He, one of the greatest admirals in Chinese history, may have been on the North American west coast. It's kind of speculative, but the evidence is based on anchors. You know what an anchor looks like, right? Well, you think you know what an anchor looks like, a Western anchor, with the flared tips and everything on it. A Chinese anchor is made of stone, round, has a hole drilled through the middle of it, and they got a chain running through it. That's how, they use anchor. And sometimes you have to cut your anchor and take off. Well, they found some of these off the West Coast. We're not sure if it's actually a Chinese anchor or may have come from someplace else. Don't think they're natural, but can't really prove where they came from. Can't do a carbon-14 date on it because, it's made of stone. Tried to find a chain that runs through it, can't find the chain. So it's speculative. Chinese may have been on the West Coast in 1421. Obviously, they didn't stay. In 1480, the Portuguese apparently landed in Brazil without realizing they were in Brazil. At the time, they're trying to sail around Africa to get to North America, to get to India, rather. And the Chinese, the Portuguese, I'm sorry, are sailing along the coast of Africa, got caught in a current that took them across the Atlantic, and they found another land, found some nice wood, called it Brazil wood. Where do you find Brazil wood? You find it in Brazil. Apparently, they had landed in Brazil without realizing it. In 1485, 7 years before Columbus, the English apparently landed in Newfoundland. English fishermen, chasing schools of fish, drifted off course, storm, got lost, not sure, it's the North Atlantic, and before you know it, they're finding tons of fish off this island without realizing the island is, a whole continent. They go on shore to, dry out the nets, and they're approached by people, and they trade, and apparently the encounter was peaceful, had no idea they were sitting on another continent. So, point I'm trying to make here is Columbus discovers America, more or less. But it was not preordained. If it wasn't Columbus, it would have been somebody else. The Europeans would have eventually made contact with North America. So the old world and the new world are going to join hands, for better or for worse. That day is coming. The fact it took the 1492 is a little bit of a surprise. But hey, it happened, and that's why we are all here. That's it for today, and I will see you guys next time. Have a great day.